Hello, hi, it's Kirsten. How you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. You asked me to send in a video of my top 5 games, pros, and try to find cons. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna try to find cons for each game, but it's a little harder for me to be negative on games that I love so much. Not a crazy fanatic fangirl that can't see improvement. I tend to find more joy in the games than I do wishing of things that could have been better, but I will try my best, I promise you right now. That as a disclaimer right away. First game is Skyward Sword. Absolutely love Skyward Sword in the sense of the Wii's capabilities. Obviously, technology hasn't been fair to all the games, but I love the fact that you could have the controls feel so intuitive. The fact that you really could like roll like you win the bowling. You can whip the whip. I loved to pull back like an arrow when you were shooting the bow and arrow. I loved doing that. So the controls were awesome. Loved the music. I loved how it was fully orchestrated. Yes, not fair to other games because they didn't really have the technology to do that for many of them, but as a musician, I just appreciated the full orchestration music, to hear real instruments versus MIDI sounds or pre-recorded tracks. Literally music to my ears. I wish that the game could have been a little bit more open world. I know no game for Zelda in the series has exactly been open world just yet. However, I do feel like the islands in the sky could have been a little bit more vast, much like the Great Sea in Wind Waker. While the islands in the sky did not have to be necessarily that big, I wish that you had a little bit more freedom to go other than just around the small vicinity. To go to my second game, my childhood game, not biased, but I do still love this game so dearly, which is Ocarina of Time. Got this game when, gosh, I was 6. What I loved about the game is it was so immersive. Never had we had an open world where you could go and explore different tribes of creatures and a kingdom, and you had this this evil guy that you really did not like. It was just the fact that he was purely evil. I think it was one of the first games to where you could really just sense that about someone. And as a kid, for me, it really learned for me to appreciate the difference between good and evil. I also love the fact that you could travel on horseback, and you could roam these lands and these different regions and just feel on top of the world. It was awesome. Cons, I mean, technology-wise, I wish the graphics could a little bit better, but we have the remake for that, and I think that the 3DS handled that beautifully. I wish maybe a little bit more side quests. I know the golden scatolas kind of kept us busy, but perhaps maybe a little bit more side quests would have been great. Other than that, I mean, it was a pilot game. It just set the beginning for 3D gaming all throughout the world. We really wouldn't be where we are now without the beauty of The Legend of Zelda. But the fact that this was the first game to really involve players really speaks on so many levels to not just me, but to so many other gamers. For being a first, it really just is a quality game that many will never be able to put down, and I know I won't. Third favorite game would have to be Twilight Princess. Cons, I can start right out. Yeah, I wish photorealism wasn't necessarily the setting for the game graphics. Wish that, I don't know, I really wish, and for me personally, like my one thing that I really had a problem with was in Castle Town, you had all these computers, all these NPCs that you could, they could walk around you when you got in their way, but I wish you could have been more involved with them. I wish maybe the world had been a little bit more full of interactive sources. However, I loved the game in the sense that it was a darker Zelda, much like Majora's Mask. It went from the resolve of being super, super dark and what seemed like a hopeless end into a development of the growth of the characters. Midna. Going from this rude and crass and sarcastic Twilight being to becoming a grateful and thankful and selfless friend to Link and Zelda when she sees how much they really care for her. And to see that beauty of development just was really inspiring, and I loved the fact that they put that in the game. Fourth game would have to be Wind Waker. Love the childlike perspective of it. I feel like there's a certain innocence about Wind Waker, much like Skyward Sword, that many of the other Zelda games did not portray. I love the cel shading. I love the whole artistic side of it. I feel like it was like a moving kid's drawing, and it was just very cartoonish, and at the same time it was a very serious game. So to see Link and Zelda travel through these super dark temples or situations, but have it in this cartoonish, lighthearted type style, it was really kind of ironic, but in that sense, it was just really cool to see that. However, I do wish, I mean, many of the things that I had problems with in the Zelda in the Wind Waker were pretty much fixed in the remake. Originally, I wish that sailing could be a little faster because it seemed to take forever, but then they fixed things like the faster sail, stuff like that. I don't know. Bottom line is, a lot of things that they fixed, I'm just appreciative of, and I'll just leave it at that. Fifth is, and my final one is Majora's Mask. I know a lot of people love this game, and I love it too. It is a darker Zelda game. However, it was released so soon after Ocarina of Time that I felt like the characters were a little too bit of copy and paste for the game. Yeah, I get it's a parallel world and you can kind of pull that off. However, I feel like you could have created a little bit more original characters in that sense. I mean, that's not a super big deal. However, I think it would have been, I guess it's a parallel world, it kind of works, but for me, it's just like, I feel like you could have added a little bit more variation, I guess you could say. Sorry, I'm really trying to think here. I loved the time aspect. I loved how much you had to like rush against the clock. It just, to me, was absolutely innovative and frustrating at the same time, and you had to keep replaying things. It was a really cool new way to play a Zelda game, and I have friends that still get frustrated from it, and it's okay because we all have been there, we all have experienced it, and you know what, it's just the struggle of playing a Zelda game. It was really sad just going through all the loss of the game. I think it brought a sense of reality to the Zelda game in the sense that people were dying. Like, that's flat out what it was. You have possession of basically the souls, I guess you could say, of those who have passed on. It's like, wow, it's kind of intense. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I love the entire series for just so many reasons, and I'm not a crazy fangirl that can't see, you know, the light of day and can't see things for what they are. And I mean, if you can come up with some, you know, good things that you feel against it, I mean, feel free to share them with me, because it would be wrong for me not to listen to that. And if you have a valid point, I mean, yeah, I'll agree with you, but don't think I'm just like one of those things like, no, there's nothing wrong with that game, there's nothing wrong, you can't say anything, like, la, you're wrong. No, I get it, and I understand, and I'm open to any sort of advice or anything you guys have to say. I hope this was not too unbearable to listen to. It's a little bit of an impromptu thing here, but I mean, hey, it's been a pleasure to be included in this.